If I had $1 million in stock that I bought and it made $1 million and I was going to cash it in, I'd have to pay capital gain on that $1 million. But if God forbid, on the way, go back to where I was, on the way to where we're talking about, on the way to cash in my stock, I got hit by a car and got killed, I can leave it to my daughter and she pays no tax. A tax that was owed 2 seconds earlier. It's not an inheritance tax. It was a tax that was owed two seconds earlier.
Wow, that's so weird. So the first thing to note in order for us to make sense of that clip there is it's a classic progressive move where they believe that they own all the money. So all the money's theirs, and they're nice enough to let you have some, right? And now you owe it back to us. It's ours. You owe it. But you can get around giving it back. But right? Like that's the first mental trip to get over there. John Carney saw that clip from Breitbart, and he coined this the Grim Reaper tax, which is beautiful. Well done, John. How are you, brother?
Thank you very much. It was inspired, frankly, by that super weird story that Biden tells us, where he says he imagines this horrible family tragedy of a father getting killed. I mean, before I get to the horrible part, can we talk about how weird it is that a Biden imagines you get in a car or walk down the street, whichever it is, on your way to cash in your stocks? Where would you go to cash in your stocks? What physical place do you have? Is there a stock? Delaware is an interesting state. Maybe, nearby, he has a stock shop. It's like right next door to where Hunter Biden's laptop was, right?
Yeah, well, when he was a kid, when Joe Biden was a kid in 1858, maybe there was a stock store down the street.
You went
by the
running down the street with your stocks in hand, and you're like, I have them. You hope you didn't mug my corn pop on the way, and you're like, here. But then he comes up with this really dark story of the guy getting killed and his daughter inheriting the stocks. And that to Biden is a really good way of telling the story of somebody unjustly inheriting too much money. This is the least sympathetic version of inheritance that I could possibly come up with. And it literally brought to me the Grim Reaper tax, right? You have somebody, dead on the street. And Biden's first thought is, we got to make sure we tax that guy. We got to get our share of that money.
Wow, that's so okay. So there's the dead guy on the street, and the government's first thought is, what stocks does he own? We need to tax him now before they give that stock to a family member. Wow, that is so messed up.
In my mind, I see like literally the Grim Reaper with the sickle and the big dark gown, with also a bag where he's like collecting his share of the money. Right? He's the Grim Reaper from the IRS saying,
so screwed up. That's like perverted. That's messed up. Okay, so let's talk about the capital gains tax itself, because Biden the other day talked about raising it from 20% to, what was he talking about?
Well, 40? He wants to raise it to 39.6%, but then it would be even higher than that because there's an additional Obamacare tax on top of that. So the richest people would actually end up paying over 40%. And if you add in like New York and California state capital gains taxes, it ends up being 50 to 57%.
That's crazy. So what are the ramifications of that for everybody? Because we always think fat cats, right? Everyone's thinking about Bill Gates, who's now half as wealthy as the other day, but everyone's thinking about Bill Gates and all the rest. What about, like, how does that affect the regular person who maybe doesn't even have any money in the stock market, although everyone does with the 401k, but you know what I mean?
Right. So what I would say is the first place to start is with a family business, because what a capital gains tax is not, it doesn't just apply to stocks. It can apply to real estate that you might own. It applies to businesses that you might own. And the gain over time in the value of that business, if you ever try to sell it, you get a capital gains tax.
I did not know that on a business.
Yes. So if you started a company and it's expanded and you get credit for the capital you put in, but if your hard work has made it worth more over time, that's going to count as a capital gains, even though it was your work that made it worth more. And so what you will end up with is paying a tax. So this doesn't just help, hurt the people who have a lot of money in the stock market. It hurts people who have, maybe grown their business over time and over generations. And that's why actually Biden wants to do this step up, because one of the ways you can avoid the capital gains tax is by not cashing out, just holding and saving your money, which a lot of us think would be a good thing. But the problem is that the government doesn't get its share until you sell. So what a lot of people do is they hold their business or their stock portfolio and pass it on to the next generation. When you do that, you actually start from more or less zero again, meaning the fair value is assigned at the time of death, and the kids only pay the tax on the gain after the death. So Biden doesn't like that because it will encourage people not to realize their gains. So what he wants to do is make sure that you owe the capital gains tax all the way back to the time your father or your grandfather first made the investment or started the business.
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.